So I welcome you to the stage. Cheers.
So, I always like to start off with some facts. So here are some fun facts. The second highest grossing Australian movie of all time is called Australia, which I think is very convenient, and I encourage all other countries in the world to follow a similar naming convention for high grossing movies. I'm waiting for Senegal's entry. The highest grossing one continues to be Crocodile Dundee though, and I have to tell you, as a young child, visiting Australia when I was 6 years old, my principal memory of that time was an emu attacking me at the zoo and eating what at that point was the biggest breakfast I'd ever had in my entire life. And that's what I took away until this year, where I've had the pleasure to be here for 3 times since the beginning of 2011. And I will say to you categorically, even though I didn't believe it, your coffee really is awesome. And I don't really know what's going on, but I have become an evangelist for Aussie coffee ways in New York City where I live. So that's my kiss ass time. Substance. I've kissed both enough. So I'm here to talk to you a little bit about this subject called gamification, which I'm sure some of you in the room know a little bit about. You've heard the word, or maybe you haven't. Either way, it doesn't really matter. I'm struck by a memory from my childhood. You know, I grew up selling with my mom. My mom is this amazing, amazing saleswoman. And I don't just say that because she's my mom, but in addition to all the other things that she does well, she's an amazing saleswoman and entrepreneur, and I grew up selling with her. And I remember her telling me from an early age, she said, you know, Gabe, the truth is we don't really sell products, services, or ideas directly. All we sell is ourselves. And if people believe in us, if people buy us as the product, they then buy whatever it is that we're holding in our hand to actually sell them for money. And I remember thinking, God, that's a really interesting insight I carried forward in my life. And I went to business school. And in business school, I realized, I came to this conclusion, I don't know, I'm sure most of you would agree with this, that every single one of us, no matter what our job title is, no matter what it is that we get up every morning to do, we sell for a living. And we sell ourselves, we sell products, we sell services, we sell ideas, but what we do for a living is we sell. And in MBA school, I was taught a number of different kind of frameworks for thinking about how to sell products, services, or ideas. So I thought, oh, that's a good place to start in today's discussion. So one of the most commonly heard ones, probably the one that has come up most frequently since the 1960s, is this notion that sex sells. Sex sells. But sex is a kind of problematic technique for selling products, services, or ideas because it's really unreliable. That is to say, I have no idea what's hot to you. By way of example, this is not hot to me at all. So if you're using sex to sell, you're never quite sure if your idea lands accurately with your target market. Another way to sell products, services, or ideas is magic. If you can conjure from thin air a revolutionary product that does something that people didn't think was ever possible at a price that every single person can afford, and you have a penchant for turtlenecks and crappy Gap jeans, you probably don't need to be here right now. You certainly don't need to listen to me fly in your magic spaceship back to Cupertino. None of us will say anything. Magic sells if you can conjure it. And so does free shit. Give it away, people will buy it. This is one of my favorite, this is literally one of my favorite things. This is a photo from Black Friday in the US, which is the sales day after Thanksgiving. It's a big kind of sales day. And I don't know if you can see it here, but this dude who's walking away with a flat screen TV for almost nothing has all 4 decks of cards tattooed on his knuckles. So hearts, diamonds, spades, and clubs, which I think is pretty awesome. I don't know why, I just think it's awesome. So free stuff sells, but it has a scalability problem. As I'm sure most of you are aware, it's an issue. Now, there's a whole new concept that's emerged. Fun sells. And this is not something that I've ever taught in business school. This never came up in marketing class, in my MBA. But it turns out that fun sells. Whole categories of products, whole categories in the market exist principally because they've unpacked this concept. Notionally, Foursquare, for example. How many of you in the room are familiar with Foursquare? Pretty good. Some of you are tired. That was like 80% of the audience. So you're familiar with the concept of Foursquare. I don't know if you know, but Dennis and Naveen, the founders of Foursquare, had, before that company, a similar product called Dodgeball, which was one of the first ever mobile location-based social networks. And Dodgeball was bought by Google and promptly shut down. And when Dennis and Naveen's lockup was over, they relaunched this product on the iPhone and with game mechanics. And what did Dennis and Naveen understand that all the first generation mobile location social networks did not understand from their experience was that the steps required to turn a check-in into meaning were really long and diffuse. Let's just take this as an example. So I check in now. Hi, I'm at the Four Seasons near Circular Quay at this event this morning. So in theory, what I'm after is a connection with somebody nearby me, a friend of mine. So here's what has to happen in order to turn this into a beer with a friend. Check-in. One of my friends has to be nearby. They have to be monitoring my social stream. They have to see my check-in. They have to have some free time, respond to my check-in, invite me to a beer. I have to see their response. I have to confirm that I'm going to go, and we have to get together. 9 steps to turn my check-in into a beer, which was the whole concept behind mobile location-based social networking. So what did Dennis and Naveen understand that other people did not understand? This multiplayer game was too complex. They made it into a single-player game, where you played to earn badges and mayorality, and you didn't need the full loop of social connection. With that, they ignited a whole industry in mobile location social networking, which hadn't been possible before. And other companies like Zynga's Farmville exist because the concept of fun. You know, in fact, if I describe the game Farmville to you, and I say, here's what you're going to do. You're going to till some land and plant some seeds, and then make sure that there's some rain and wait for them to grow, and then you're going to cut them down, and you're going to take them to market, encourage some people to come and help you like grow your crops and sell them. That sounds like Middle Ages work to me, not like a fun game, right? That's the kind of work that our ancestors transcended so that we could be in this room right now. That doesn't sound like, fun concept. But it turns out that companies like Zynga, obviously companies like Foursquare, and then many bigger brands are starting to come to this realization that fun can help sell products, services, and ideas. The change is dramatic. In the United States, if we measured social games on Facebook, like Farmville, Cityville, so the same way that we measure television, 3 of the 5 top non-special programs in America are games on Facebook. If we include game shows on television, 4 of the 5 top programs in America are games. And they have much higher overall engagement rates than the TV shows that they're being compared against. The transition to a game-centric culture is not going to happen, it is happening. It is happening, certainly in the United States, and by extension and evolution, pretty much everywhere else. Some of the interesting forward-leaning stats about this are the growth of virtual goods. So, I don't know how many of you were involved in Second Life in one way or another, but we're finally getting to the point of realizing the value that we discussed in Second Life. And I have to tell you, we wasted so many fucking years talking about Second Life. I am beyond ecstatic that we don't have to talk about it after today. So we'll make a pact, we're never talking about it again after now. But by 2014, $14 billion of virtual goods will be sold in the United States, of which 2/3 will be virtual clothes for people's avatars. So that's real cash, by the way, that's $10 billion being spent on virtual clothing for people online by 2014. And it's a small drop in the bucket.